I just hate everybody. And that like, it literally becomes like us and them, or me versus you. And no one likes anybody anymore because it's like, it's too hard for me to figure out if I'm doing the right thing or not. So now I'm just going to just be on an island of my own and just eat all the grass.
I think the important thing is to find a practitioner or a trainer or whatever the...
Try Health Dossier.
Right. That's realistic. Like, I know you personally, and I know how you handle your patients, so I know you're a realistic thinking type person. Like, you don't scold people. You understand life balance, health balance. Are we okay?
Yeah, my card is full. I don't know why it's full, but it's full. No problem. That one's great.
Are you no longer on?
I'm going to use my phone as a
Okay.
camera, and it's okay. They can hear me. I'm here.
Should we keep going, or should
Of
we wait?
course,
Oh,
no
okay.
stopping.
And then I was gonna say with Kaya, like, this is the first time we're meeting in person, but just based on what I've seen on Instagram and your personality, I can tell that you know when you need to push someone, and you know when you have to be a little more gentle.
Yes.
And like, I also study nutrition. I'm a nutritionist. So when I first started, I was very strict. Like, I was like, no, you can't have coffee and you can't have this, but in a nice way.
Yes.
But I wanted them to have like the ultimate diet from the start, and just over time and things. It's like now I've adapted that realistic living, like realistic eating, real life balance. Have the coffee, like work it into what you're doing health wise.
So I mean, as practitioners, I think people eventually get to that point because they feel like it's just much more sustainable. Yeah. And the people who do that, they don't have 100% achievement for a short period of time, but they have a 90% achievement for forever.
Yeah, exactly.
And
that's what matters.
But a lot of people, when they're new, they're like, no, you tell me whatever. You tell me that I eat like rocks. I'm eating rocks. I don't care.
Yeah.
Because they're so fixed on the end point. And it's like, whatever I have to do to get there.
Right.
You have to cut me.
Far between.
What's that?
I find those people are few and far between.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm saying it's like, I think there's too many people that are leaning that way. And that's why I find a lot of people get fixated on like one style of living, and that it's so dogmatic that most people can't follow it. No. And then there's a little bit of an ego thing. It's like, well, I'm achieving it. I'm 100%.
It's like a status.
I only eat green food. I only eat green stuff. I don't care if it's meat. If it's green, I'm eating it.
And I think with like veganism as an example, when
we love vegans, by the way.
Of course. When we see. When we see like, people that want to try something, they think like I should adopt some of these behaviors into my own diet, and maybe eat plant-based a certain number of days a week or whatever it may be. But then you have these people that are like diehard vegans, and they're like, halving it. Like, then you feel like, oh, okay, like I can't do this anymore. Well, burger, then like.
I mean, I get if they're doing it for like ethical reasons, but then it's hard. Like, so you have to really know your stuff. Yeah. And then there's some people that are more like, I just think this is the right way to eat. And it's like, okay, but like, I mean, if you're anemic, we got to address that too.
Right.
But sometimes they're like, no, I eat plenty of, I lick rocks. There's iron in rocks.
Back to the rocks.
That's called pica.
Yeah.
See? But the science and the joke.
See?
How are your serotonin levels? Depleted yet, or?
I don't tell jokes all day.
No.
Sometimes I'm just in my office, just staring at the screen, just letting my serotonin fill back up.
No, I wish I could write. I honestly write late at night, which isn't good because I'm usually tired. And I just think, imagine all the better stuff I can write when I'm like alert and awake and.
You type? Use a keyboard? Yeah. Press the Z button a lot.
Sorry?
The Z button. Just hold it down.
If I have like a thought come to me during the day, I'll jot it down on paper. But for the most part, it's just typing. I type faster than I write. So, but you know what I find when it's when it's an experience, like when you've lived it, it just flows because you know it. Right? You lived it, you know it.
Yeah, you don't have to make it up.
Yeah, there's no like, what should happen next? No, you already know what's happening.
Then there's a dog.
But it's awesome. I mean, it's my first writing project. So I didn't go to school for writing. I'm not a writer.
You learn how to write in school.
Sorry? No, I mean, like, I didn't go to university to be like a writer or like English major or journalist or anything like that. So I'm just going with the flow.
And how did the group come together? Do you know like how?
So we all put in an application. So this it's the Studio Press. It's a self-publishing. These two women who run it, and they put out. I heard about it through another woman that I know, and when they just put out the application, opened up the applications for this volume, you just submit your application, and then they chose. Nice. So. Yeah,
so when is the projected publishing date?
So our chapter is due March 31st.
It's coming up.
Yeah,
coming up.
Yeah.
That's like in 2 months, you know.
This Thursday, part 2 is due. There's 3 parts. So part 2 is due this Thursday. Next week is part 3. And then we go back and forth with some edits. And then...
do you do peer editing? You pass it up to the next person like you did in school?
No.
No. The girls who are our mentors, they're authors as well, and the publishers. They're editing, plus there's a side editor.
That makes sense. When I was in high school, in English, we would peer edit, and I sat beside the guy who had the worst English mark. Guess who had the second worst? Probably should have just handed in the rough.
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
and he was left-handed. I don't know if that means anything.
How's your penmanship?
If I take the time, it's not bad. Most of the time, I don't bother. So it's lines.
Can't understand it. Have you ever seen his writing?
Yeah, there's been a few things. Yeah, there's definitely lines through it.
Can't understand it.
Well, it's like an L or a T or an O.
There's a lot of like sharp corners.
I mean, I might have been drawing directions.
Like it's not like smooth, loopy letters. It's very
cursive. It's more like I'm cursing.
Half print, half cursive.
Yeah. It's like a lot of R's. You think there's a pirate sending you a note. You guys watch any good movies? What do these buttons do?
Actually, when you were mentioning the Kardashians and like the surgeries and stuff, there is a new show coming out. I don't know if it's TLC or one of those. What?
Leave Caitlin alone.
That it's called something like My Killer Body or something, and it's about women who've had procedures but they like didn't go well.
Oh shoot.
And like they showed one where like this woman was lying on her side and you see like the scarring or like the stitches from like that procedure of like getting like the bigger hips and bum and stuff. And it's just like I didn't actually ever think about it, like what's involved.
Right.
And it's like why?
This has become
why are you doing this?
Such a huge thing.
It's a status thing. I don't even think it's not how you look.
But
it's just the fact that I got it done.
But I don't even like okay. And I always have this conversation with people like cousins and friends and things. And it's like, you want to do stuff, hey, one, I think you should admit it because what's the shame in it?
Yes.
If you're proud to do it, then why not admit it? And two,
well, there's some things that are hard to it's not an issue of admitting. If someone gets implants, I mean, I think they're doing it because they want people to notice.
Well,
it used to be that people were doing things and like, well, I don't want to talk about it, but I did get a little something off the top here. But now it's like people walk in, they're like they practice, there's like lasers pointing at everything, and it's like acknowledge.
No, that's true. But I think there's like the first or second time, it's like, oh yeah, you kind of like enhanced what you had. Mm-hmm. But then as it goes on, it gets to be like, it doesn't even look like the same person anymore.
Well, because it doesn't stop. Like they're kind of like, well, you broke the seal.
Yeah.
Yes,
now it's an addiction.
Yeah,
it's an addiction.
That's sad.
Huh?
It's sad.
Yeah, it is sad, and it's just, I don't know. I just wish people felt more comfortable with
to talk about it.
well, to talk about it and just even
not to want to.
Yeah.
You know, just to like, this is how I was born.
But it's weird because we talk about people being objectified and then they go and objectify themselves even more.
This is what I don't get. Like,
I mean, I think it's also fueled by people's want of recognition, because it's not, they do it for themselves, but they also do it because then other people will recognize it and be like, oh my gosh, you look so, I love your eyebrows. I love your forehead. I love what you did with your collarbones. I don't know, whatever everything can get cracked in half now.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I wish people felt accepted with the way they are and not, okay, now I look this way. Now I'm getting, this line of work, or I'm getting, these deals or these.
Hey, let me jump on something you said. How about if people stop caring about being accepted?
Ooh.
Deep thought. I just Miyagi'd.
How does that work if it's like a self-acceptance thing?
That's an interesting point.
A lot of people...
Maybe that's where it starts.
Yeah.
I think...
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think...
Did I jump ahead?
No, but I do think that like a lot of people do enhance certain features, and it is something that, they've always imagined themselves to look that way, or they have always wanted to look that way, so they...
Question would be why?
Yes, there are those questions.
What's the influence that led to that?
Yes. And I think, probably just an oversaturation right now in media of people that just look
But isn't that something that's been like fought, like in the media, like not to objectify, not to like create this false impression of what's beauty?
I think so.
But then I think it just has fueled it in more ways. Because now everyone's just constantly evaluating themselves. Again, it's going back to that issue of comparison. Like, if you, let's say you're 40 pounds overweight and you're like looking up, training videos, and you see a trainer, it's like, oh, you know what? She looks really fit. I want to like kind of copy her deal, as long as it's not like excessive, or I'm not killing myself, or I'm not starving myself. But it's like, she's realistic, and she doesn't have zero fat, but like, I could look like her. I like to like aim for that. That's okay. As opposed to, I need to be a rail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think even with that, that's still difficult, because with filters and editing and everything,
nothing's real
that happens online. How do you know? Like, this is
exactly.
Even putting your picture online, like people who are on these dating sites, it's like, you're seeing a profile that's like, you gotta see it in person.
I can't imagine.
They should have one of those things where it's like a lineup, when when there's like 6 people, you gotta say which one's who did it, and then it's like,
you can't tell,
and you look at your phone, it's like, she doesn't look like her.
You can't go on the date if you can't.
And you see the guy 6 foot my butt, and you see him, he's kind of like, but the other guy's shoulders are here.
Yeah, that's hard.
Oh my god,
I can't imagine.
Like, I should have written it down.
Should have written it down.
You have a pen.
No, it came and it went.
You just spit it out. Scream it.
It was about acceptance. It'll come back to me.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll come back to me. I can't think of it now.
Funny story the other day on social media. Saw this photo. Cutest little kid modeling these like homemade clothing, whatever. Sent it to my friend. I was like, look how cute this is. Kid's so cute too. She's like, that baby is filtered. Like, they have a filter on the baby. And I was like, a filter on the baby? Why would you put a filter on a baby?
Probably an ugly baby.
Like, this is so weird. Do you filter your kids?
Oh my gosh.
Unless
I don't put them online.
That's good. Unless it's like on Snapchat and it's like a funny face. Yeah. I remember doing that.
Oh, my kid's not a unicorn. Is the horn going to go away? Yeah, just go to bed.
Yeah, like that I think it's like funny, but
no,
weirds me out.
To kind of
it's
perfect
screwed
the way
up.
a child looks.
But they used to do that way back with these pageants.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
There's always been this, like, Instagram didn't ruin people's lives.
No.
I mean, maybe it does now, but not like 20 years ago, because it wasn't there. There's something else.
Yeah.
There was always that, like,
it just adjusts to whatever is the latest fad or
whatever is the media that gets to us.
Yeah.
They're going to screw us over.
Right. Yeah.
If we let them. We let them.
Definitely brings it back to what we were saying with like understanding your own values. I think at the end of the day, that's...
So what should people value in themselves?
oh, that's not for anyone else to tell you. I don't.
What would be,
I don't
well, what do you think for, okay, let's talk about you.
So, yay.
But in a very general sense.
Okay, so like a few times I've done some reflection, and things that like mean a lot to me would be honesty is like one of the biggest ones. And so then I try to figure out ways that I can be honest with myself. How can I be more honest in my like very close relationships? What about in the work that I do? That's always been something that stays at the forefront. And so if I know that that's important to me, then that is something I think back to in decision making, and how do I want to, you know, the things I want to say or the things I want to do and, you know, create online. How can I be really honest about it?
Yeah, a genuine. People perceive genuineness because it's not. You can see something that's fake. Our brain picks up right away. Yeah. Like even if someone, let's say someone had a nose job, you just know that nose doesn't look. It looks too perfect to be a real nose. You're just staring at it. It's like that's not. Something's not right on this face. But when you talk, like when you are like you do videos, training and challenges, which I haven't accepted.
I know.
Because I'm gonna fall down.
I really like that challenge. I really, really do.
The
sock
one, yeah, I didn't come up with that one, but that was a fun one. And then somebody sent me one that was like way harder afterwards. He's like, "Yeah, you can do this though," and I'm like,
"That's a douche thing to do."
Like why?
Very good. Yeah, you topped me. You're the cool one now.
Man, so
you have the title.
But that's good too, like, you know, pushing each other. But
so genuine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Honesty. Yeah, I think just morals, like morals.
That's a deep thought. Morals, dude. Just have morals.
No, but like have some type of moral compass, and let's say like.
And it doesn't bend for people.
That's right. Stand firm.
I think that's the point. Like I have morals, but hey, when in Rome.
Yeah. No.
Well,
standing firm.
I think you have to know what it is that, you know, grounds you and makes you you, and maybe that's, you know, some external factors. Maybe that's influence from family. Maybe that's just something, maybe it's influence from family has kind of steered you away from what it is that your family thinks or feels, and that's okay too. But I think really understanding what it is that, you know, is going to allow you to keep pushing forward as a human yourself, and not necessarily to get better, but to just live and, you know, live your life, enjoy it, maybe a little bit.
You know, I think it's good to have someone in your life that could be like a regulator, like someone that just can be just honest. It's like, they're like, you're being a douche.
Yeah.
It's no harm. Like, we're still friends.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stop being your friend, but like, you just,
That's super important to have someone or like a faith or something that you can go back to and like resets the way you're thinking, or gives you an outline to follow, or something that just grounds you, like you said, right? So yeah, that's super important.
I think it's also really important to, you know, interact with people that have a different moral compass or have different values, because not because it's great to go around arguing with people, but solely because I think it is a good chance for you to solidify yourself and why it is that you feel this way, or why it is that you find something to be so important. And I think it also, when we sit down and actually listen to other people, it gives us the chance to hopefully understand where other people are coming from. But I think when people aren't so solidified or aren't so confident in their own values, and maybe feel a little bit like pressured to feel some type of way, and it's maybe not be so true to themselves, that's when they easily get influenced by other people. And, you know, I see it so much in people that come in and they have a goal in the beginning, and then they're like, yeah, well, my family thinks I look too bulky, and then they don't want to build muscle anymore. And I'm like, but you know, that, and then it's cardio. But I think being able to hear criticism and hear other people's perspectives is really important in solidifying your own values, who you are as a person.
Yeah, it tests it.
Yes.
And if you are firm, then you're okay.
That's right.
And it's nothing wrong with like hearing other people's opinions. I think that's actually a big problem in the world. It's like,
right now,
how dare you have an opinion that's different than mine?
Yeah.
Afraid to share opinions, afraid to hear other opinions, because, well, I don't want someone talking me out of what I think, or...
How dare you even say that? You can't even question something.
Yeah. But I think it is also okay if you have a conversation with someone and it's a really meaningful conversation, it makes you think twice. And you're like, okay, well, this is something I need to go sit down with me and my values, and we need to all reflect.
That's right.
And that's okay too, I think. People change, right? Like, you're not born the same person, and sometimes you're not even the same person month to month, but there's core values, and then there's other things that, like other values that kind of influence your life. And I think you have to know your core values.
Exactly.
And the other things that kind of float around them, maybe that's a little bit more malleable.
Yeah, and being open to, hey, maybe, you know, what I've thought for the last 5 years isn't right. You know, that's, or, you know, I had a friend who made me think that this was right, but now that I've been around these people, and I see a whole nother side to it, right? So just being open to, like you said, sticking to your core values, but being open to the other stuff that is changeable. Yeah. And I remembered what I was going to say.
You wrote it down?
Huh? No, I didn't write it down, but I remembered.
You can better say it before you forget.
When we were talking about like the fillers and people doing these things, a big thing for me, and maybe if I hadn't gone through this, maybe I would think differently, but is the health implications. For me personally, it's like, I don't want to put anything in my body that, one, I don't know what the outcome is going to be 10 years from now, or even immediate, you know, like a reaction, or so it. And like, I spent a lot of years with like dietary issues and feeling crappy all the time. And it's like, I don't want to feel crappy.
Yes.
Like, I want to be healthy. And if I'm going to do something, I want to make sure that there's no health risks involved, right? So I think that's another thing that people aren't taking into consideration when they do these things to boost their confidence or improve how they think they should look, is they're not thinking of the health implications behind it. And I think that's really important, because 20 years from now, like, I don't want to hear that our generation, there's an increase in cancer, increase in strokes, and like, you know, because we don't know what these chemicals are doing to our nerves long term, right? So that's what I wanted to add.
I'm glad you remembered.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I think that's certainly a valuable tidbit of information, and can be applied to so many decisions that we make.
Oh yeah.
And I think it also comes from a place, maybe, just of having that perspective, and something that I think a lot of able-bodied people will take for granted is, my body has always worked its hardest, and it's always done exactly what I needed to do. And they've maybe never been in a position where their body has fought against them.
Right.
And they've maybe, you know, never been ill, like, you know, significantly or something like that, that they don't really think about some of those things that, you know, this could really mess me up.
And I think, even if it might not be health related in their mind, they should talk to, you know, their fitness instructor, or their naturopath, or their massage therapist. Talk to somebody that knows how the body works, and say, you know what, I was thinking of doing this. What are your thoughts? You know,
don't do it.
And I think that's why maybe they don't, because they're afraid that someone's going to talk them out of it.
Well, some things they should be talked out of.
Exactly.
There's some things that they should not be doing.
Exactly. And that goes back to the whole having an open mind and talking to others.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people want extreme things. Like, should I do water fasts for 7 days? I'm like, wow. Well, 4. Well, it's good for you. I'm like, it may also kill you. Yeah. Maybe not yet. Maybe try an hour.
Do they drink when they do that?
I don't even know. I'm afraid to say. Some might do it.
Yeah, no, don't give any.
You drinking water?
We can talk about it
As
later.
Valerie's taking a drink of water.
Sorry, I didn't mean to call her out, but it's been 4 days, and we're running out of water.
That's so funny.
So moderation in your thoughts,
1000%.
in your desires, in what you do, what you practice. Don't think your poop don't stink.
Everyone's does.
Smell everyone else's poop. Get a feel for where yours stands, and just be like, okay, I know where I am, where I'm seated.
You took it there.
Oh,
Of course.
I think it was inevitable. Parting shots.
Thoughts? Or you want to take a shot? Yeah, just like you said, don't think yours doesn't stink. Don't compare. Don't think you're better. Don't think you're worse. Just work on making yourself the best that
you can be
in the army. No,
I don't know. That might be an 80s kid thing.
Yeah.
There was a commercial. Well, it was a U.S. commercials. Yeah, during the cartoons, like you get home from school and like be all that you can be in the army.
In the army, yeah. It was like an ad.
You're all looking at us like we're weird.
Well, they're younger.
I've really noticed lately a lot of stuff that I grew up with. People are like, "The F are you saying?" I never heard of that.
Yeah. Oh no. And it's like ingrained in us because it was it was like
they're
cartoons.
They're like what are they called? It's like they're tunes. Like they're just like you get it in your ear and like you remember it. Like
I can't remember.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
We had the House Hippo commercial.
What's that?
Bella knows what I'm talking about.
How did that go?
I'm pretty sure it was just a guinea pig. No, I think it was just like a sized down hippopotamus running around in these people's house. But I think the purpose, I honestly have never looked this up. I don't know what the actual purpose of this commercial was, but I think it was not to believe everything you see on TV. Because they just had a hippo in their house.
I think the 90s kids had it easier than us. We're like getting threats of being enlisted. And they're like, hey, don't look at the hippo. It's not real. Take it easy. Go back to your Game Boy. And this guy's got an AK-47.
Subliminal messaging.
Sloppy
That's what it
Joe.
was. That was big.
I don't think it was subliminal. It's like literally saying, you're going to be going to Iraq.
One thing I do want to add is just this weekend I was talking actually to one of our cousins, and we were talking about just everything that's going on in the world and COVID and all this stuff. And she made a good point. She said, when we were in university, they taught us critical thinking, question everything. Even statistics can be skewed to show a certain side and whatever. And I said to her, I go, it's so funny that they teach you critical thinking, but now if you go against what the majority is saying and you question things, you get in trouble or they get mad. They don't want you to question things. And I just think like, well, why are you teaching them to question everything, but don't question that?
Well, they wanted you to question what you knew in terms of your moral compass. Because a lot of people leaving like high school, they're young minds, and when you go to university, there's a lot of political slants in a very, very extreme state that are like, well, you question what you knew before to open up your mind to what we're telling you now.
Yes,
and that'll set you up for the rest of your prison years.
Because the majority will just go with that. And then the odd few.
Most people, they lose their way going into university because they're like, I'm kind of fed up of what what was forced upon me growing up. I think I should have an open mind. My parents, they're so old fashioned. I'm around all these cool young people. They wear windbreakers. I think that I should explore new ways of thinking. And then before you know it, you got 2 windbreakers.
Just like that.
Not even windy. And then you know what? 5 years, 10 years go by. You're like, I need a proper coat. I think that's where you were going.
That's pretty much where I was going with that.
Kaya, any windbreakers?
I'm not quite 5 years out of university yet, but what I will say is...
I forget things. You still have a windbreaker.
Yeah. What I will say, and I want to go back, but anyway.
Especially after
Get another one.
I have more critical thinking to do, but no, I definitely think, leaving school, I definitely had like I was at Western, so there's definitely like, set views that I think the majority of people kind of take. And, when you think about COVID, like if I apply it to there, it's like, yeah, everybody should wear masks and everybody should get vaccinated and everybody should do this and everybody should do that. And it was just very one-sided. I think throughout the pandemic, I've really tried to keep this like train of thought that like everybody has to make the best decision for them. And I think having a few different, in university, I studied kinesiology and I also did disability studies. And disability studies is what I think has made me actually really counteract some of that everybody should do the same thing, because that's not possible for everybody. There are people, like we said before, that have experienced different things than the average able-bodied person that has maybe never been ill or has never had a disability and has never had to think to themselves, what could this trigger in my pre-existing conditions if I wear a mask, or if I completely isolate and don't see anybody? What could this do to my mental health? If you've never experienced some of those things, it might be straightforward and super easy for you to say, yeah, I have to stay home, and when I go outside, I have to wear a mask, and I have to go get vaccinated. But for other people that have had different experiences, it can be very difficult for them. Mm-hmm. And so I think trying to keep that in mind, because at every point in my life, it was not really easy to keep that in mind. But now even, as we're starting to come out of this, and I have to continuously remind myself that everybody is not coming from the same place. And as long as I know that I made decisions that were right for me, I have got to be okay with the fact that everybody has to make the right decision for them. Right. So that is very grateful for those two sort of streams of education that I had in university, because I think that has helped set me up to be a little bit more accepting of other people and their perspectives. But additionally, the environment that I was in was, very one-sided. And I know that there's probably a couple friends or, alumni that will see this and think, what's wrong with her? What happened to her? And that's okay.
Been talking Dr. J too much.
They can think whatever they want. It's totally fine. Because that's not going to shift the way I feel about me.
Because that's actual critical thinking. That's actually weighing everything, gathering all the information and actually coming up with your own thought.
It takes a little bit more energy, I think, than just sitting in front of whatever somebody else wrote or put on the news. So,
I think people like to sound smart when they regurgitate what they heard on the news.
Yeah. They sound dumb.
You become an expert.
Yes. In the latest poll.
What poll?
Windbreakers.
Climate. So it's the balance of the self-acceptance and temperance. Mm-hmm. Being able to, I know what I need to do. I accept what other people choose. It's not going to make me change.
That's right.
Boom. You can take your windbreaker and shove it.
Or put it on.
Oh, if it's windy. I'm not against windbreakers. Sometimes you need it. I have a vest. I got a vest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a puffy vest.
Oh, trendy.
I don't know how I'm going to wear it. I think I have to wear a hoodie underneath.
Yeah. Yes. Something with long sleeves.
Well, I didn't say a t-shirt.
I don't know.
You should wear sleeves?
Yes.
Long sleeves with a vest.
Oh.
If it's warm enough to wear a short sleeve shirt, then what? You
probably don't need the big puffy vest.
I'm glad this came up. All right. I think we're going to end it there.
Amazing.
Thank you, guys.